Uh, this is my prediction of Wilder and Fury 3. Uh, I compare this fight to pretty much of Pacquiao and Marquez. You know, uh, Pacquiao was pretty much the favorite. He came in with a lot of momentum. He was a strong power fighter. He was blasting everybody out of there, and they thought that he would do the same against Marquez. That wasn't the case. Once they squared in on that night, their first fight, pretty much Pacquiao, he almost got through. He almost did, what a lot of people thought he was going to do, which is going to blast him out. He dropped him three times in the first round, and, Marquez prevailed. Like, he came through, he overcame that, and he brought it to Pacquiao all the way to the end of the fight, and it was scored a draw. A lot of people debate that, Marquez won, which, I agree, but it was a draw. Second fight, it was a tough fight the first time. You put them back in there. What happened? It was back and forth. Marquez got dropped a couple of times, but, he lost on a split decision. And then the third fight, a little bit more the same. And we all saw what happened in the fourth fight. You know what I mean? Marquez was the one that put Pacquiao to sleep. So you got the technical boxer, counter puncher versus like the brawler power puncher dynamic. That's kind of similar to this fight, but anything can happen in boxing, especially like in the heavyweight division. All it takes is one punch, and with Deontay Wilder, he's shown that like he got that one equalizer, like that one right hand. You can't slip. He could be losing the whole fight. He catch you one time, fight's over. So keep that in mind. That's always on the plate. But you got Fury. He's a very good, elusive, tall, big, strong fighter, and it just showed in that first fight. Um, pretty much they both fighters was getting used to each other. They never saw each other before. That was their first time in the ring, and we saw what happened. Fury was handing it to him. Fury was dominating Wilder, and if it wasn't for Wilder's knockdowns, he dropped Fury twice. You know, Fury overcame that, and definitely in the 11th round, I think 12th round, pretty much, Fury got hit with two bombs, like big punches that dropped him in that. And everybody was surprised, even myself, that he got up from that shit. So it just showed like his will is there. I mean, he is, pretty much a great fighter. And Wilder, basically what he had to rely on was his power. He really didn't show much technique throughout his career. He he fits his name. In most cases, when he gets you hurt, you start seeing him swinging like these wild ass punches, like like you in the the backyard, the courtyard, or some shit. You know what I mean? But yeah. But going into this fight, the third fight, pretty much you just got to judge most fighters on their last performance. And each fighter, they fought each other, 20 months ago. And I mean, Wilder got dominated, man. I mean, that was a very devastating loss. It was his first loss. And, he just got beat up, man. Like, it can really do something to you mentally. And usually, most fighters, when they take a loss like that, of that magnitude, you would come back, with a tune-up fight or something like that. Just the sake of him jumping back in there, it remains to be seen, like if that was detrimental, like to him or not. But and then I mean, basically they said he was working on like his skills and stuff like that. He was working on different things in the gym. Yeah, that's cool and all that, but you don't do that shit after you lose and you late in your career. What I mean? After your first loss, you're 30 something years old. Now you want to work on your abilities and your craft against Fury? Come on, man. I mean, I just say this. I mean, with both fighters, it's always a chance. They both prove that they can drop the other guy, and hurt the other guy. You know, that's obvious. But going into this fight, I feel that Tyson Fury has more of an upside, and I think like that mountain is going to be a little bit too steep for Wilder. I think that after his last fight, a lot of people, they caused a lot of criticism with that fight. That he didn't look himself. It could have been, the egg weight form and Foreman's glove. I mean, Fury's glove, or the suit that he wore was too heavy, and he was drunk, worn out. It just showed. He didn't have no legs. He didn't have nothing. Even when he did throw the right hand, it didn't look like the same right hand that he's accustomed to throwing. So whatever the case, went down in history. He got a TKO loss, and it fucks with your psyche. So Wilder, decided to go and work on things, and I don't think like within 1 year in pro boxing, I mean, you got to be working like for years, man, like for that shit to be effective. I mean, you can like do little things, but it's not gonna be apparent. It's almost it's like too late, like to do shit like that. And against like one of the best, if not the best in the division, you want to decide to work on your jab and stuff. I mean, just like Tyson said, like Mike Tyson, just like he said that pretty much everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And I think Wilder is gonna face that truth tonight. But yeah, but I just think that yeah, it's too late for him. But he have a chance with the right hand. It's a good fight. I'm gonna watch the fight, and it's gonna be interesting. I think one thing to look out for though is a lot of they gave like Mark Breland a lot of slack. You know Deontay Wilder and most of the other people. Everybody turned their back on Breland after that fight, like it was his fault. You know, I mean, like he was trying to protect his fighter, but now that's in the air now. Like, and fear. I mean, Wilder, he can go off of that. Like, I think coming into this fight, it's like, okay, well, you didn't like knock me out. My corner stepped in and this and that. I was still ready to go. So I think that's going to be kind of play into tonight's fight, and I think it's going to work against Wilder because everybody know that the fight was stopped early. Well, like the fight was stopped from his corner, and Wilder, kind of debated that, and I think he's going to take a lot more unnecessary punishment late tonight. Going off of that last fight, because I don't think Malik Scott, like Wilder's new trainer, he don't want to fall in that basket. He don't want to get on the bad side, neither Wilder. As far as like, I'm not going to do what Breland did, and and turn his back on you, and start the fight. I'm going to be there with you. And nah, I think pretty much he's going to get damaged, a lot more in this fight tonight. That yeah, I think shit. After this, man, like it might be it, man, because it might be something bad that happens, but I don't see Wilder like going the whole 12 rounds. If Wilder wins this fight, it would have to be, early. I mean, you would have to catch him with that dynamite. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that, Fury, he been in the ring with you two fights, like what was it, like 20 something rounds or whatever. So like he was starting to figure you out, like pretty much he's starting to figure Wilder out after the first fight, and he did well then with a 2 year layoff, coming into that fight. So yeah, it's I like Wilder, Everything he represents, stuff like that. The fight as a black person is good. I'm cheering for him. But if I put my boxing hat on, and I look at what I know in boxing, I have to go with tonight. I will have to go with Tyson Fury defeating Deontay Wilder in the third fight. I would say ninth round. TKO. TKO. I think Fury's gonna be catching him. He's gonna be tagging him. Wilder's coming into this fight at 238, his heaviest, and I just think too much boxing. Fury got too much for him, and he's just gonna weigh him down until he gets him tired a little bit, and then it's gonna be a little bit more of what it was in the second fight, but just a little bit later, like a round or two later. But the same result is gonna happen. It's gonna be a knockout, and I don't think it's gonna be no stoppage from Malik Scott and shit like that, because Mark Breland did that with Wilder, and I think that Malik Scott don't want to fall into that same light, that Breland did. So it's going to lead to Wilder taking a little bit more unnecessary damage. So whether it's like from cuts, or basically it's just you just out on your feet and you just a punching bag and the referee stop it. But I think that Wilder he's gonna get knocked out. It's gonna be a real knockout. You know what I mean? He's gonna be wary of some stuff. He's gonna be tired, and Fury's just gonna overwhelm him. He's gonna drop that right hand on him, and I think Wilder's just gonna get beat. Pretty convincingly again tonight. But that's my take on the fight tonight, and this is the first of my my talk through predictions. So I'm gonna make it happen now. Since we're gonna have some good big fights coming up. So pretty much hope y'all enjoy the fight tonight.